A few years ago, I was up late in my study, trying to finish this horror story I'd been working on for weeks. I remember getting this sudden, intense smell, like old, wet paper and something metallic, almost like blood. Being a writer, I'm used to weird smells and late nights, but this was different. I pushed back from my desk to figure it out and saw it, a dark puddle spreading out from under my antique writing bureau. The puddle wasn't just ink. It was thick and oily, and it seemed to pulse, shifting and growing right there on my hardwood floor. It was all black and inky, with these strange, shimmering bits that caught the light from my desk lamp. It looked like something had spilled and then started breathing. The smell was getting stronger, a mix of rot and that sharp, coppery scent. I reached out, my hand shaking, and my fingers just touched the edge of it. The cold was instant, like plunging your hand into a bucket of ice. I should have run. I know. I should have called someone, anyone. But I was frozen, just staring as the puddle began to rise. It wasn't a liquid anymore. It was pulling itself up, forming a shape, a vaguely human-like figure, but all wrong. It was tall and thin, with limbs that were too long and bent at odd angles. There was no face. Just a smooth, glistening surface of black ink. It was the monster from my story. The inkstalker I'd been writing about for the past month. It was impossible, but it was standing right there in my study. That was when I realized the horror wasn't just on the page anymore. It had bled into my world. The figure didn't move, but I could feel it watching me. This immense pressure building in the room. I stumbled back to my desk, my mind racing, and my eyes fell on the manuscript. The last sentence I wrote was, "It rose from the spilled ink, a creature of shadow and regret." An idea, a terrifying, desperate idea, hit me. If my words created it, maybe my words could control it. Maybe I had to write my way out. So that's what I started doing. I grabbed my pen and just wrote, my hand flying across the page. I wrote about the hero of my story, a grizzled old detective, finding a weakness, a way to fight it. But every time I wrote a line about him gaining an advantage, the creature in my room would twitch, and a low, guttural sound would echo in the silence, like tearing paper. It was like it was fighting back, resisting the story I was trying to force on it. The more I wrote, the more it seemed to solidify, to become more real, more threatening. I was trapped in my own narrative, forced to keep writing through the night, trying to find an ending before it found me. I eventually wrote that the rising sun was its weakness. That light could dissolve it back into harmless ink. I don't know if it was the power of the story or just my exhausted mind playing tricks, but as the first rays of dawn came through the window, the figure began to hiss. It started to collapse, melting back into a thick, black puddle on the floor. By the time the sun was fully up, all that was left was a dark stain on the wood that I could never quite scrub out. For a long time afterwards, I couldn't write a single word of horror. I'd have these dreams where the ink would start seeping out of the pages of books, flowing from my pen, trying to form that shape again. It would whisper to me in those dreams, not with words, but with feelings of dread, telling me that it was still there, waiting in the ink, waiting for me to write it back into existence. It still turns up in my nightmares from time to time, and no doubt will be tonight after writing this all down.